Welcome to Okon Bros. This is Eric.
And I'm Michael, and if you want to learn about the secrets of the universe, the law of attraction, mysticism, brohood, gambling, movies, pop culture, Vegas, archangels, magic, good food, business, health, family, mediumship, and I already said Vegas, so smash that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, and press the noti icon, and spread this video around like oil and vinegar on a nice Italian hoagie.
I like it. So today we have on Geno Munari. Geno has decades of experience in matters relating to gambling, casino operations, scams, swindles, cheats, the Mafia, and the business side of Magic. He has an upcoming book titled The Dunes Hotel, The Mob, The Connections, The Stories. Check out genomunari.com for more information. Thank you for coming on, Geno.
Well, thanks for inviting me, Eric and Michael. Appreciate that.
We're super excited. We've known Geno for a very, very long time. And I gotta say, I wasn't planning on starting with this, but we were at Paul's lake house.
Well, hold on, just give a little.
No. I want to finish this. And Geno's a magician, among many other things. He owns the Houdini magic shops in Vegas. He writes books. Really prolific businessman, entrepreneur, the whole nine yards. And he was holding court in the room, and you were having cards magically appear out of your hands and your pockets, and you must have thrown
200-300 cards,
200-300 cards all over the house. And I just remember that, and like ever since then, like I love magic, just absolutely unbelievable. My first question, Geno.
That was more of a comment.
That was a comment because I've been wanting to tell you that we haven't spoken in years, and I wanted to say that story. My first question, Geno. One of my favorite characters in any movie ever made is Lester Diamond. In your book, you have a whole chapter dedicated to that character in the movie Casino.
Right.
Did the movie do him justice? What was that guy really like?
Well, as you know, the movie was finished before the book was finished. I don't know if you were aware of that.
I didn't know that.
Pileggi was writing the book as they were making the movie. Lester Diamond, who's played by James Woods, in my opinion, was Johnny Hicks. John Hicks. And John Hicks was the son, an adopted son of Marion Hicks, who was the founder of the Thunderbird Hotel and, of course, the El Cortez, who was connected with Meyer Lansky. He was Meyer Lansky's partner. They were like two fingers crossed together. I met Johnny when I broke in gambling downtown at the California Club, the old California Club, not the California Hotel, but the California Club, who was owned by my cousin Frank Schiavo, also Paul Casella's cousin. And that's how Paul came to Vegas, because of Frank Schiavo. And Schiavo came from Montana with Milton Prell, who had a jewelry shop in Butte, Montana. Schiavo's mother and father, Emma and Pete, had a restaurant, and they became friends in Montana. Prells loved Italian food, and Emma cooked wonderful Italian food. Anyway, Frankie went to work for Milton in the jewelry shop in the back room in the Keno department. He became like a father and son to him, actually. Milton never had a son, and he brought Frankie with him to Las Vegas, and they opened up the Club Bingo, which is where the Sahara Hotel sits now. It's still the Sahara, by the way. They changed it one time. Now it's back to the Sahara on the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Sahara Avenue. Okay? And Frankie was down there with him, and then the Club Bingo had some issues. It burned down. They were very successful, by the way. That was the county line, just outside the city, so they could do things that the people in the city couldn't do. They used to fill the place every night. And of course, as you know, Sahara was the place of every great star. They built a wonderful place there. Don Rickles, you name them, they were all there. Am I getting off track here? Hold on.
No. We're just gonna let you go.
This is fascinating.
And so that's how I went to work. I went to work at the Sahara in the lowest possible position as a busboy. In 1964, I was going to UNLV, taking accounting and finance, and one day the hostess says, "Hey, we need someone in the dealer's room to serve the dealers." So she shifted me back in this little area in the back of the coffee shop, and I served the dealers every 20 minutes. So my shift wound up to be 11 at night to 7 in the morning, and I never had a break. all they did was get coffee and serve the dealers. I got to know who was who and who drank what, and when I saw them coming in the door, I already had it ready for them. And I made decent money as a kid. I didn't gamble, didn't drink, and had a great time there. And then went to work for Skivo in 1966 or 60. I think it was 66. Yeah, I think so. At the California Club, and then they also had the Elwell Hotel, which is a block away, and they had the Pioneer Club across the street. At the Elwell Hotel, by the way, they had a crap game that had dime chips. Okay, in other words, the chips were 10 cents each. So for like $20, you could get a stack of chips. Looked like you had $1 million bucks, and they were black.
Right.
And these bums would make place bets all over the table. Make bets. And then one of their friends would take the dice and throw them, but they would try to knock the chips over with so they could make a claim. Oh no, I had 50 cents there instead of 30 cents. I mean, that's, we had a sign outside, by the way. This was a classic sign, no spitting on the sidewalk. I'll never forget that, and it was a great place to break in. And that's where I met Johnny Hicks downtown. And Johnny and I became friends. We were almost the same age. He was just maybe a year or two older than me. And he was just like a neat guy. He was a golfer. I took up golfing again. And we'd meet at the golf course sometimes at the driving range. And we became friends. And then I'd meet him when we were out at a local nightclub called Dirty Sally's, which is where the Rose Bowl Sportsbook was.
Wow.
Just behind the Wynn. And he was a neat guy. And one time, he had a Cadillac convertible, just like the movie had. They had that part right. And you asked me if they treated them correctly. I don't think they did exactly, because that was just a movie. Right. And some of the guys that assisted in making the movie didn't like Johnny because of what happened later in life.
Wow.
Later in life, Johnny was involved in a scam. And I was not involved in this. I want to be honestly clear about this. I'm not trying to take a duck here. That's not it. But I didn't know about it. But he was involved in a scam called the Chip Cup scam. And the Chip Cup was a little device that looked like a stack of 4 chips. Okay, 4 $5 chips, 4 red chips, so to speak. But actually, there was a cup that were 3 high that fit over 3 chips. They were slightly bigger than the chip, but it fit over the top of any chips. So then they put a real chip on top of the cup. So the guy who was in the scam would come up to a crap game and make a 1-roll decision bet, like a field bet. And if the field won, they'd pay him $20. And the guy would leave the cup in the field. But then when the field lost, the associate of the guy betting the chip would pick it up, stack it on top of the hundreds real quickly, take it back and put it back on the 5s, okay? And now the guy would throw another 20 in for change. This guy would reach in for 4 chips and give him those 4 chips, which actually had 300 inside and a real chip on top. It's hard to imagine that.
Geno, are these days over in Vegas? Like, are the good old days over, or are these things still happening?
Well, there's 2 things you talked about here. The days in Vegas, the cheating things, sure, they go on by the outside, the inside, and everyone else. There's no question about that. But as far as the days of Vegas, where the owners were the hosts and the owners were the immediate contact that you had, those days are over with. Now you have guys, they don't even want to know who the customers are. They hide in the corporate offices and spend the money.
Geno, I have a question in regards to the scam. In the movie Casino, if there's one piece of history that I can go and live back at, if I could be a part of, it would be in Vegas in the 60s and 70s. No doubt in my mind. Hollywood in like the 80s, like the mid 80s, and Vegas in the 60s and 70s, if I could time travel. In Casino, where De Niro caught the guy cheating in blackjack, and they used his head as they did the saw and they hammered his hand and everything. Was that accurate? Was that real?
Well, I think you got the story a little bit. It's a little bit different than what happened actually in the movie.
Okay.
De Niro didn't put that guy in there for cheating. He was for something else. There was never a dealer caught in the movie cheating. There was only a time when Spilotro was playing in the Stardust, and he was mad at the card the dealer dealt him. And he threw it at him. It stuck on his shirt. But the dealer wasn't cheating. By the way, I was around Spilotro. He came in and out of the dunes, and he was told he couldn't go in there anymore.
Really?
Yeah. Spilotro, his brother was the head of Little League. My son used to play on the team.
Oh
You know,
my God.
so I mean, I speak to Spilotro's brother that was killed with him. I speak to his son on almost a daily basis. He's a nice kid. You know, you can't blame his son for what his father did or his uncle
Right.
did.
Right. Dominic was the brother in the movie. I remember he spit in the sandwich when the cops came to the restaurant.
That was a guy. I can't remember exactly what he did, but he did something.
Right.
And they put him in a vice and they popped his eye out, I guess.
Right.
But but that was, Spilotro got blamed for a lot of things, and I'm not 100% sure that he killed. I think that he killed Johnny Hicks or had somebody kill him. Somebody
Right.
did kill him from that group because they were mad about him for a couple of reasons, and that might have been one of the reasons he was killed. But another reason why he might have been killed is this: Johnny Hicks was out one evening at a place called Big Al's Speakeasy, which was on the second floor of the Flamingo Hotel. It was right over the Porte Cochere. There was a what do you call it? The guy that parks your cars. What do you call that?
Valet. The
The
valet.
valet.
Right.
I'm losing my mind today. The
all
valet
good.
was a guy by the name of Eddie Anderson. Okay, and there was a book written called I got to get you the title, but anyway, the book was written by a guy by the name of E.A. something Anderson, and I try to contact this writer because he talks about the chip scam in his book. Okay, he talks about how Johnny Hicks got indicted and arrested for killing a guy by the name of Bob Murphy, who was a cheater. And Bob Murphy, this is a crazy thing, was a roommate of a district judge in Las Vegas. Now the judge wasn't gay or anything like that. This guy Murphy was a great hustler. He was a golf hustler, a card hustler. In any event, there's a very good chance that Johnny was killed, for the chip cup. But as I was saying back to the speakeasy, Johnny was up at the speakeasy with some friends, and in comes Lefty Rosenthal, who was Robert De Niro in the movie The Casino,
Right.
and his Johnny Hicks's ex-girlfriend, Jerry. And Lefty was either married to her then or was going to get married to her, and they were together. And so she sees Johnny, or Johnny sees him, and he's dancing with her, and Lefty gets jealous. Words were tossed around. They got into a physical fight. And from what I understand, a guy that was around told me that Johnny was kicking the hell out of Lefty Rosenthal.
Right.
And I believe that might have been the reason he was killed, even more than the chip scam. Because nobody knew about the chip scam.
Sharon Stone's character was real.
Jerry.
Yes. Well, let me just go back. I'm sorry. Let me just go back a second. I said that Johnny Hicks was indicted for killing, being an accomplice in the killing of Murphy. Well, Murphy and Johnny went over to this guy's house. His name was Mel Myers. Okay. And this Mel Myers had a chip cup there. And I don't know what Mel Myers' role was. I never knew. But in the process, Mel Myers pulled a pistol out and shot Murphy. And that's how the cops came over when they examined the body and all that. They found the chip cup. That's how it was discovered. It was never uncovered on the game or by some stool pigeon or so-so. Sorry, Eric, I interrupted.
No, all good. So Sharon Stone's character, that was based on real. So that was really.
They were dating years ago. Like they were. That was.
She was Johnny Hicks's original girlfriend, and I believe she was. I want to say a lighthearted prostitute, and she just went for the money, chip snatcher and everything else. Lefty took a liking to her, and Lefty started going with her. But she still used to contact Johnny, and Johnny would contact her, and that's the way the movie made it look. But they made Johnny look like a bad guy in the movie. But I'm not saying he's perfect. But I'll tell you, one night Johnny comes to my house at 2:00 in the morning. I lived in a condo off of Desert Inn Road, and so he knocks on my door, and I was up because I got off of work and I'm home, and it was like 2:30 in the morning, and he says, "Hey, I want to show you my dad's pistol." And I said, "Well, come on here. I don't want the neighbors to hear this, right?" He brings the pistol in. Let me show you. Let's go out and shoot it. I said, "Johnny, it's 2 o'clock. Can't wake everybody up." He says, "No." So we set up I had an old thing. I put it in the fireplace, and he started shooting at this thing in my fireplace. I'll never forget that. I didn't put that in the book, I don't think, but he was a nice guy, actually.
Geno, were you born in Las Vegas?
When normal people ask me that, I say I was left in a hotel room, and I thought my parents were maids. No, I was born in Burbank, basically.
Okay. And then so real brief history to our listeners. So our good family friends are, the Casellas and Salzmans in California, and we've known them through the travel industry for the last, 40 years now. And Geno is Paul Casella's. You guys are first cousins, correct?
Correct. Yes. His
Okay.
mother and my father were brother and sister.
Fantastic. And we, obviously we vacationed with the Casellas. They're our West Coast family. And Geno was always at these individual, events throughout the years. I will never forget going to see Penn and Teller in Las Vegas. I think we were with Garrett and Ryan, which are, Paul's grandsons. And it was Eric, me, Garrett, and Ryan. And Garrett was called on stage for one of the things for Penn. And after every Penn and Teller show, if you have to get that, Geno.
No, guess who's calling? Paul Casella.
Oh tell him you're on a live podcast.
I'm going to tell him right in front of you. Hold on.
All right.
Hey, Paul. 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 Anyway, he's not there now.
Could have been a butt dial. So after the Penn and Teller show, and that was at the Rio, I believe, or maybe it was at MGM Grand. After the show, Penn and Teller go outside, and we already knew you for years at this point. And I asked Penn, because your name is synonymous in the magician's world. I asked Penn, I said, "Penn, do you know Geno Munari?" And he said to me, "Everyone knows Geno Munari." How did you get into magic? And we're going to go back to Vegas, because I could hear stories about the old days in Vegas for hours. I want to jump to magic because you're synonymous with that industry.
How did you get like they can't make a Houdini movie for anything because of the rights? How did you get the Houdini magic shop rights? Like, tell us your story.
I want to know how you got into magic first.
Okay. So my mother used to be an usher at the Pantages Theater in Hollywood. And so, I guess that was, of course, before I was born. So her sister got a job from a guy that owned Hollywood Magic Company. And they had a little factory in the Van Nuys. And my aunt, I guess, helped them make little gags and tricks and things, mostly gags. And my mother started helping them. And then one day she told me, the guy that owns this is a magician, and he owns Hollywood Magic. And he said, if you need any magic, find something you want, and he'll give it to you for half price. So I said, oh my God, I saw a magician once, and I kind of liked it. I saw a magician at Corriganville out in Thousand Oaks. And so I got a catalog from some other magic shop, and there was no magic shops in Burbank. There was one in Glendale, but I never went there once or twice. And so I got a trick from him, and that's how it started. But basically, I was about 12 years old. It was the first or second day of summer. I'm at Cambridge Park in Burbank. I'm on the monkey bars. I slip, fall, and break my right leg.
Ooh.
And I broke it 2 spots. And so my dad, tried to relieve my pain by diverting my attention. He went down to Hollywood Magic, bought me a trick, and brought it back. And I think that was the start of it. I was fascinated. I couldn't do anything else. I was stuck at home for 2 months. And then, I started learning a few things, and I kind of enjoyed it. It was like a scientific puzzle and a lot of fun at the same time. I didn't approach it as magic, like, whoa. No, I approached it as like fun. And
Right.
And I didn't try to say, look what I can do and you can't. I try to make it like, this is an interesting puzzle. Let's see if we can have some fun with it. And that's how it started with me. Then, you know, years went by, and um, I got associated with a couple of famous magicians. One was the Melinda, the first lady of Magic, and helped put her name on the map. I did her publicity and was an advisor to her. And he always wanted me. I was in her show for I don't know how many performances. I was a stooge that was called on stage, you know, and I acted like I was from Tennessee one day, and one day I'd act like I was from Czechoslovakia. You know, I had a lot of fun with that. And then at the end of the show, I'd run around to the front of the theater with a camera around my neck and act like I'm looking for my partner, you know, who's with me or whatever. People would look at me, and I'd listen to their comments as they come out of the show. They did this, they did that, and it kind of helped build the show to a better thing. Anyway, after that was over with, I was doing a magic show of my own at the San Remo Hotel, and this was like 1989 or 90 or something like that. And as I walk out of the hotel one night, I had a baby lion. I had him on my shoulders, and I'm loading him into the back of my Ford Bronco, and I look across the street in their building. I see the foundation of the MGM going up, right?
Yep.
And I'm saying, you know what? I wonder if they could use a magic shop. So I made an appointment, went over to see the guy, and that was the start of the first magic shop.
So how did you get the name Houdini?
Well, that's what I was going to tell you.
Okay.
So
this is amazing.
So I actually started using the name Houdini's Magic Shop with a trademark, and then I bought the Great Houdini trademark from a company in Canada, and then filed Houdini's Magic Shop as a trademark, and it went through, and that's how I got it. And I have about 13 trademarks now.
That's amazing. So the tricks that are in the shop, I mean, I must have played
how many times?
The levitating card trick where you can have the card levitate and it kind of goes in between your fingers.
The UFO.
The UFO.
Famous UFO.
Did you invent that?
My son did.
Oh my God.
My son passed away in 2008.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God, Geno, I had no idea. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Thank you. And so anyway, I used to come to we opened the store in 1994 at the MGM Grand. Okay? But we couldn't use the name Houdini's Magic Shop. We had to use generic names like there was a wood shop, a candy shop, and a magic shop.
Mm-hmm.
Behind the veil was Houdini's Magic Shop. So I used to come into work, they'd open it, I'd come in about an hour later, and I come around the corner, and a card goes flying by my eye. Almost hits me in the face. And my son used to scale cards. He'd take a card and throw it. He could throw it like 50, 60 feet through the air. I mean, unbelievable.
Right.
And they did that every day. There's cards everywhere. Finally, they decided to take a trick that I did called a floating handkerchief, attach the magic thing to the card, and they spun the card. They solved all problems. And then we made that trick, and we were the first ones to ever do it like that. And it's copied by everybody and ripped off by everyone. And it's called the ultra floating object. And that's how that started.
How did you hook up with, I mean, Penn and Teller and David?
I mean, you probably know everybody in that world of magic.
Copperfield would come into my store, you know, and sometimes bring his girlfriend, Claudia Schiffer. They'd be in the back watching a pitch that we were doing. The pitch is where you sell the magic, 2-3 tricks, and then they buy.
Yeah.
You call out the thing. And he used to come in. He was very nice to me. And Penn and Teller, I just got to know them, but then they started to become customers and they'd buy things occasionally and so forth and so on.
Why would they need to buy something from you? Is it because you had something that they didn't?
Well, a prop they may need, a standard prop, like you needed a special deck of cards, okay, right. A giant set of cards that did special things, or something like that.
So, are you a distributor too?
To some items, yes. But now, because of things are changing in retail, we're trying to be more exclusive, where you can't buy it anywhere else. So It gives us business. So unique items are the things that I try to sell. And we officially call our company on the web the Houdini.com site. It's not called Houdini's Magic Shop. It's called Houdini.com. And so I have a store in San Francisco, and I have a store in Disneyland.
Yeah, Paul mentioned that to us, that you got I think you and Starbucks were the only two brands outside of Disney that were allowed in the
actually, I think it was that in the one of the other. It was either the China company or something else, but yeah, we were very exclusive about that. They came to me, by the way. I was in Irvine. I was in Irvine in the Irvine Spectrum Center, and they sent a guy over there, and he asked us, "You want to go into Disneyland?" And we went to Disneyland.
It's incredible.
So, Geno, I have to show you something. I text my wife for her to get
You're not
a deck of cards. Now,
you are
me, I'm terrible. But you taught me this at a dinner.
To all of our viewers, this is
you taught this to me at a dinner. Hold on.
Jeez,
it's not working.
You got to practice.
Yeah, I know. It's been a while.
Show that. Good. Now rotate the hand around and show the other side.
No, that I can't do.
That's good. You remember.
For me, it stopped there. we just make a card, and I can also, because I used to project the UFO trick so much, I can fling.
Hey, that's great.
We flew home after you taught Eric that. He sat on a 6-hour plane ride, and he was sitting next to me going like this the entire plane.
You do not know the mark that you made on my life, Geno. You really don't.
I hope it was good.
I was mesmerized. I mean, I only knew you as magician Geno. I didn't know the entire other history, which I'm excited to learn about. But always fascinated, and definitely a dream to be able to get you on here to learn more.
Well, I appreciate you asking. That's nice
and
of you.
I remember what was that card trick where it would go up? You would turn it over, and there was a
weight, and I had that.
You can't reveal the trick, Mike.
Oh no, shit! Did I just blow it? You want to
edit
that out?
Card trick.
The rising card trick.
And we make those. We make those.
Are all the Houdinis still in the show? I know there was one in New York. There was the one in MGM Grand.
No more there. No more. The COVID thing destroyed us.
Yeah.
And also we had some internal problems with a certain employee. Very serious problems. And anyway, that's beyond us, and we're going forward with the new.
So you called Lefty Rosenthal to
I might have
to take care of business.
Actually, I wouldn't have called him. I would have called Fat Tony Salerno.
Yeah.
I'm sure your dad had to deal with him in New York City.
I'm sure. He used to hang. One of our parents' first locations was in Corona, and there was an Italian shop like right down the street. And if anybody got out of hand, they shut the garage door, and that was it.
Wow. Corona, California?
No, Corona, New York. Corona,
New York.
Queens.
Corona and Queens. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the guy that was my mentor in the Dunes Baccarat pit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and this guy was Vince Tagliatella, and what a guy he was. I don't know how I could share my screen. I don't think I could do that, could I?
I'm pretty sure you can. On the bottom, if you click share.
Let me see if I've got this here. Hold on just a second here. If I've got it.
This is one of the greatest interviews.
Oh my God.
Eric, you should teach like Zach that, right?
I try to.
Ooh. I was always terrible. I had no mind.
I'm going to share the screen here. Just a second. Might have to fix me up here, but let's just see if this works, okay?
Yep.
Can you see that?
I think you have to show your screen. You have to do the camera.
Okay, hold on a second.
You got to choose I don't know how to show video.
I'm not showing video.
No, he wants to share the screen. If you want, can you?
Oh, hold on. I got it now. Just a second.
Okay.
Here it comes. That's me. You see me?
Yep. There we go.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
That's the guy on the left is Vince Tagliatella. Okay. That's me. Look how young I look. I can't believe that picture.
God.
How old were you there? You must have been like 22.
I was 22. And there's a girl I met in Hawaii. She was a very nice girl.
She was a knockout.
Debbie Kai, her name was. Anyway, I'm going to go back to you guys now.
Do you have more pictures? Anything more you can?
You sent me Muhammad Ali yesterday. You met the great one?
Oh yeah, many times. Many
God.
times. Now, how do I get out of this deal here? Okay, there we are. Okay. Yeah, I knew him quite well, and he loved magic. One time, you want to hear this story?
Sure. Muhammad Ali, go.
So this friend of of mine who worked at the Dunes was his business manager at one time. His name was Gene Kilroy. If you watch the movie, The Greatest, you see him in the corner in the Battle of Manila, the actual film, you see him there, And anyway, Gene was a friend of mine. And he says, so anyway, I'm driving my son to work. And it's like a Monday or Tuesday morning. And I drive my son to school and I'm going to go to work. So I'm at a red light and this guy, Gene Kilroy, just happens to come up next to me. And he says, roll your windows down. And I did. And he says, come on, you got to go with me. I said, no, I got to take my son to school. He said, no, you got to go with me. I wouldn't ask you. You have to go with me. My kid says, let's go. You don't even know what it's about. So I parked my car. I went with him. He went and we picked up Muhammad Ali at the airport.
Oh my God.
And then we went over to Caesars and he said he wants to see Magick. So I sat there with my son and Muhammad Ali. And I think Siegfried and Roy's manager was in the back of the room, but he wasn't involved in what I was doing. Anyway, I did Magick for the champ. The first trick I did to the champ, the first trick when I met him, I says, Muhammad, I want you to think of special 3 or 4 digit number.
Can I show this picture, Geno? The one you sent me yesterday?
Yeah, I know how to get it up. Yeah.
That's Geno with Muhammad Ali.
That's Caesar's Palace, one of the suites there. So I showed it. I said, champ, I want you to think of a 3 or 4 digit number. And don't think of 777 or 711. Think of something that means something special to you. I took out my business card. I have a pencil. And I said, I want you to concentrate. And I write down something, and I put the pencil in my pocket. Then I said, I want you to hold your hand out. He puts his hand out. I put the card face down on top of his hand, and his other hand goes on top of that. I said, don't look. Now, just so you can't cheat me, I don't know if, you might have some fun with me. So you tell everybody here what number you picked before you turn it over. And he says 375 or something like that. He turns it over and it was 375. He jumped. He couldn't believe it. He put his arm around me, and I got another picture. You'll see. I can't. I hope I can find it, but I can't find it right this minute. But you'll get it for the edit if you need it. And it shows his arm around me. It shows the card in his hand and the pencil, and I got the number right. So then he just loved that. I mean, he loved it. And so anyway, we do another hour of Magick, and I'm getting ready to leave with my son, and his manager comes over to me and he says, you got to teach the champ that trick. I said, I can't teach him that trick. That's my specialty item. That's how I get by. He says, but you don't understand. He's a magician. Yeah, but I can't teach him that way. He said, I'm pleading with you. So I really had to think about this. I mean, this was the day my kid he says, show him. So I said, well, maybe I'll show him. But I got to tell him something before I show him. So I raised my right hand. And I says, I want you to raise your right hand, and I want you to I started to say, swear to God, right? And I realized he's a Muslim. So for some reason, I said to him, I want you to swear to Allah. He jumps on the floor and he says, I swear to Allah. I ain't telling nobody. I swear to God. We hit it off from that day forward. I mean, he was just the nicest guy in the world, actually.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Do you, I don't know if you don't want to answer this, you don't have to, but do you have a spiritual practice? Because I know that most magicians don't believe in God, right? And, I don't, and it's not a religious angle, because I know Penn is he's very loud about not believing in God. There's no such
that's
thing.
one of the things I have a little bit of a problem with him, because you can believe what you want to in this country.
100%.
But he wears a T-shirt that's kind of like disrespectful to people who do believe in Christianity or whatever you believe in.
Right.
Yeah, I believe in God, and it's just, to me, it's just conjuring. It's prestidigitation. It's quicker than the hand. There's no mystic power in what I do, and I would never tell anybody that there is. I've had people come up to me after a show, say, can we contact my brother? I said, come on, lady, this is just fun. I trick,
right.
If I could, I'd be a billionaire. Yeah.
Do you believe in mediumship?
No, it's baloney.
Really?
Yeah.
Houdini crusaded against that. In his later shows, he did lectures of exposing these fraudulent people, and they're fraudulent. I mean, now things have happened. I'm not saying that every single person who's had some kind of an experience, which Eric, you may have had something in your life, and when your father passed away, Michael, you might have had some kind of something.
A mystical experience, whatever you want to call it.
I had something happen to me when my son died. That was incredible, and I'll never forget that. But there was no paid medium to do that. And those people, they present these shows and they do these things and they collect money to do it. If it was a real thing, they wouldn't be collecting any money.
Well, our mother, right, Phyllis?
Yes.
You remember her?
I do.
She's actually a medium.
Well, but she might believe in what something may have happened to her that might have been an experience that God gave her. That doesn't mean that she's a medium who goes around hustling people.
No. She's certainly not hustle.
So my question to you is where does it cut off? So like that's fascinating that you say like the mediums are shysters, and I understand what you're saying. Where does what Penn does kind of like draw the line where it's like you believe in God, Geno believes that there is a God, a higher power, but where do you think that the mediums are bullshit?
Well, I'm going to tell you what the issue is with him.
Please.
He one night I was up late watching a movie, and the movie was over with. And just before the movie was over with, on the movie channel or one of them, it says, "Oh wait, coming up next is Penn's experience with Johnny Thompson, and how he taught Johnny Thompson the ballad of something." I said I might watch that, so I'm watching it. And this Johnny Thompson was a magician who did this story with cards. He'd say, "Turn a card over and tell a story," that sort of thing. So it shows Penn practicing with his daughter, okay? And Penn was wearing a T-shirt. You see this young girl. I didn't know it was his daughter, but she was about 12 years old, maybe.
Moxie, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's doing this, and he says, "I believe in Jesus" on his shirt, or something like that. And below it says, "I was just fucking kidding." Excuse my language.
Yeah, sure.
That's what it said on the shirt. And I'm saying, how can I appreciate that? Here's a girl. I don't even know who this girl is. And the people that are watching this on direct TV, they don't know who that is. How could you wear a shirt like that with a young girl like that? Now, that to me is way over the line. Mm-hmm. Okay? Believe what you want to, but there's a 14, 13-year-old girl. Should you be using that kind of language in her presence or have a shirt like that in her presence? That's way out of line. I know maybe I'm a little bit different and old-fashioned, but right. I think that's where it goes a little haywire.
Penn's license plate says godless. I mean, he is not afraid to voice.
But I want to ask him a question someday. And I don't want to get into an argument with him or anything, but because he's entitled to believe what he wants to and do what he wants. Of course. But let me ask you this. How could you possibly exist in this world? And this has always been going on. You see the moon floating in the sky. You see all these things around you and say that there's no God or no nothing or no something. Then if you believe in the Big Bang Theory, where did piece A start from, and who started piece B? It's a ridiculous thing to have that opinion. It's kind of ignorant, actually. Mm-hmm. We can't comprehend infinity. We can't comprehend it, and so to say that there's no God, how do you know? Well, what are you, an expert? How do you know?
Right.
You can't prove it.
So
I think that the evidence says there's something to something, and how you interpret it is according to your own particular belief. I have to be raised Catholic. You're raised Jewish, I assume.
Yeah.
And I believe you believe in Prophet Isaiah. So do the Catholics. There's all kinds of things. But
I think there's a difference between religion and spirituality. Go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt you. What you were going to say, Eric?
No, it's okay. So, do you believe in just birth to death, or do you believe that there's something more beyond? Because I'm assuming you haven't watched any of our other interviews, and that's fine. But we've interviewed I would say 30 mediums,
at least
30 mediums, and like this is a passion of ours, where we discuss what's it like when you die, or near life death experiences, and the like. So what are your thoughts on that? Because it's really interesting. And also, I want to say before you start, we're believers in Magick with a K as well.
I want to get into that too.
But let's start with, mediumship first and stuff like that.
Well, I'll tell you. First of all, you know what lucid dreaming is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you're in a dream. You don't know whether it's real, whether you're alive or you're sleeping.
Yep.
So, you wonder how animals have this certain time that they're supposed to breed. Like I was watching a thing on bees the other night on National Geographic, I believe it was, or BBC. And bees have a certain time where they breed and certain times where they don't. And then when they fly a perfect figure eight. What gives them that knowledge? Something, and everything has DNA built into it. So, I believe it's possible that we can actually transmit a thought. We don't know how to do that because everything is magnetic energy. And, think about it. Everything
100%.
has a field and an aura. And I'm using the wrong words probably because I'm not an expert at this. But I believe that a dream is like a file. I mean, that file, can it be transmitted from your head to another? How come twin brothers, this is interesting to me, twin brothers grow up to be a certain age, and in one part of town, like a guy lives, he's 25 miles from his brother, he has a heart attack, and the other one 25 miles away feels the heart attack?
Right.
I mean, there's some form of, where you just can sense something's wrong. I believe people have that. I believe people can sense when something's wrong. I learned how to, in the early days of the Dunes, I learned immediately when talking to somebody within 30 seconds, I could tell if they were lying to me. Basic lies. I'm not talking about a complicated thing, but a basic thing. I could tell if they were full of crap or they weren't. I believe that's possible, and I believe we don't understand how it works. I believe someday we'll be able to stick a plug into our body and be able to understand the whole body and fix it. And these old-fashioned things where you eat onions, it's healthy. You do this, it's healthy. But we don't even know what we do when we sleep. The body is a mystery when we sleep.
100%.
The body's curing itself. So who knows about that? But as far as saying this is all there is, I have to believe from the scriptures that I don't believe this is all there is. I believe that there's more to this. And I believe there's probably, when you watch an Outer Limits or you watch a Twilight Zone, people love that. But, right in front of us are these things happening. I mean, you can have a feeling, you know what? I was thinking the same thing that guy was thinking 2 minutes ago when he just called me.
Right.
Oh, that happens. So, there's more than just this life. These frequencies fly all over the world. Okay? They fly all over the world.
That's fascinating. Eric and I have gone down this rabbit hole of magic with a K. And I don't know if you're familiar. I'm assuming you are.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Aleister Crowley, the magicians who manipulate energy of the universe, who actually, you do the parlor tricks, right? The Broadway show style, cutting a woman in half type deal. How does someone do that? Is it demonic? Is it angelic? Real quick, we do believe in mediums, and there are a few that aren't good. There are a few that kind of, they go fishing and they do cold readings and whatnot. But then there are people that we meet who don't know who we are and then say that your dad is here and he's telling you this message. We heard from our father in one reading. I heard from my dad in one reading. And again, this guy didn't know who I was. And my dad came through and said, magic is real with a K. Archangels are real. All this stuff that, like, we didn't believe in this stuff when he was alive. And he was telling me kind of like the secrets of the universe, right? That law of attraction connection that you were talking about, right? That field of energy, the force that Star Wars talks about, it's all real. And that's gone since prehistoric times. What you talk about is magic, of doing a trick with cards, connecting with the unseen, has been around since prehistoric times. Are you involved in that at all? Do you know?
No.
Like that? No,
I'm not. But if you had you guys should build a library first of all. If you found a library, there's books that explain the methods used to do these things.
Right.
Of course.
And I'm not talking about the ones that says you take this and you boil this. I'm talking about the ones that show you how to make it look like it's real. Okay.
Right.
So if you believe in mediums, therefore mediums believe in the hereafter. Therefore, mediums believe there is life after death, or they couldn't bring that person back to you. So basically, how do you know that this is all not really God's work. Who designed all this stuff, but didn't interpret it, because anybody can write what they want on this earth. You have free will. I can't tell you what to write. I can't tell you what to say. But but it was all brought here for us, and it's written in DNA. Everything has DNA. You know, that's just my thinking. But you know, a mystery about this. Maybe it's a little off subject, but not too much. People were explaining gravity, and how do you explain gravity? Well, one thing pulls you to another thing. Well, it's really weird on Earth. You know, we know where gravity is. You drop a ball, it goes to the center, no matter what angle you are on this Earth. But when you get into a place and you leave the gravity of the Earth, it's weightlessness. And then when you go to the moon, it's a different power of gravity there. You can jump higher. There's less gravity. There's less holding you to the surface. Mm-hmm. So that means that the Earth has some kind of a thing in the center that attracts some molecule in every single thing of matter. That's what gravity is, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Everything that has any mass of anything, a pencil, a paper, it has some atom inside of that mass is drawn to the thing that's in the center of the Earth, a plus to the minus. And that's what gravity is. It's not just gravitational force, they call it.
Right.
It exists in the center of the unit that you're on. An asteroid may have it, it may not have it. But so it's got to have something to do with atomic particles of some kind. And so, you know, how could that just be?
Right.
How could that just be?
They call it a cosmic crapshoot, that we're a 1 in a 10 to the trillionth power to be here, and I just don't believe that. I think there's got to be something bigger.
We're all way too special for it to be that way.
Well, you know, I agree with you. You know that there's as many galaxies as there are stars in the sky,
as there is sand on this planet Earth.
Galaxies, not just stars.
Yeah,
about galaxies. And I mean, it's hard to believe that. And it goes on and on and on. I mean, do you think there's just a wall there at the end that says stop? It's done.
Right.
I sound ignorant to you guys because I'm not an expert at this, but that's my basic thinking.
No, I always listen. This is our first magician that our first trick magician that we've interviewed on the show, because we've actually interviewed magicians before that
who manipulate the energy of the universe.
Energy and whatnot. You know, like witches and warlocks type people.
Give me a break.
You know, it's very interesting to say the least. Let's shift gears here for a second. Go ahead.
I'll say it like this: "Bedreigt me nicht mein Kopf."
What's that?
"Bedreigt me nicht mein Kopf." I won't turn my head. That was a Yiddish saying.
Right.
Old timers used to say.
Right.
"Bedreigt me nicht mein Kopf."
I got to tell you, I want to say it like this. You know, yes, I believe in something bigger than just a guy in the sky saying, you know, good and bad and whatnot. Besides our wives and our daughters, there's no other woman on planet Earth that we trust more than our mother. And when she's done these quote unquote mediumistic readings, where she's sat with a stranger in front of Eric and me, and she's told this stranger who is Clem that wore the overalls. And this woman says, that was my uncle who died 20 years ago.
And he was a farmer in Tennessee. And my mom's like, did he used to bake bread or something? And she's like, yes, he used to bake bread every single Sunday. Like, there was shit that completely out of her.
She didn't look up this guy. She didn't look up this guy on Facebook. She wasn't researching this guy. Could it have been some Jedi mind trick? Sure. Could she be connected to their mind psychically? Sure. But I like hearing what you're saying. I like hearing the other side of things. So, Geno, Eric, you had a question about the Dune. Oh, did you want to answer the question about? It's not really a question. It was more of a comment of like, we trust our mother to not research someone on Facebook and then connect them with their loved ones that have passed.
Well, what's Geno's
what's your
explanation on that?
Well, first of all, I'd have to ask a couple of questions to see how she set this whole thing up. And I would do this for anybody, not just your mother. And please don't take any offense by me questioning.
None.
Because my mother and father told me question everything, I guess.
Sure.
So, first of all, before she met this person, how was she introduced to him? How did she?
This particular, the one about Cleo.
Yes.
That particular, we were actually on a client call, and it was the first time we were meeting a client. We were on a Zoom. And then at the end of the phone call, she says, "I'm sorry, I have to stop here. I'm getting a message." And then she just goes into it.
I mean, did she know who this client was?
No,
No reference?
no,
No.
And she never asked him any questions
no.
that you know about.
Correct.
Correct.
I mean, she have contacted this client before?
It's a possibility, yes.
Okay, so these are the things that would interest me, because when a guy does a cold reading, okay, usually the way it used to be done in a theater sort of situation, he'd have an assistant in the front of the theater lobby
Mm-hmm.
walking up to people with a special, they call it a clipboard. Okay, the clipboard looks like a standard clipboard with one piece of paper under the clip, and the assistant would say, "Oh, Eric, do you have any questions for Mr. Munari tonight, our medium,
Mm-hmm.
our psychic, our psycho, or whatever you want to say?" And he'd say, "Yes." "Okay, what is it?" You just write it right there. "Okay, just keep that. Thank you." Just hold on to that, fold it up, and put it in your pocket. Underneath the clipboard is a fine piece of carbon paper that gets inserted. And she takes that piece out, puts that in her pocket. She puts another one in there, and so forth and so on. And they pick up information this way. So that medium, those questions get dumped into a place where the medium can get them. Kreskin and Dunninger did this act. It was the most unbelievable act I've ever seen in my life. You'd say, "How did that happen?" So he gets the question, and the medium would say, "There's a Mr. Leo in the audience tonight. Leo, I sense your presence. Would you please stand?" The audience doesn't know that he's involved in anything, and everything looks pure. And then you can do cold reading. Leon, there's someone. Anyway,
I just want to just say, we are not trying to convince you. I love your side of the story, right? I like that there are shysters out there. It's a different point of view.
Yeah.
My mom, my brother, and I, we used to go, and we're planning on doing it again. We would go live on Wednesday nights on air, just the same format that you, me, and Eric are in right now. And it'll be our mom on the bottom, Eric and I on top. And Eric would then email to all of our listeners.
I'd put out I don't know if I still have the banner, but I'd put out,
if you want to be read by a medium, right?
I'd put out this.
Email this email address, and we would get.
That's interesting.
We would get random people. Some were friends of ours from high school, but people that I have never seen or met, or my mom has never seen or met, or my brother has never seen or met before in our lives.
And when she was doing this, she's gotten much better since we were doing those live shows.
There was this one guy who I don't know who this guy was, but he called in, right? He emailed in, and my mom connected with him with his dead brother and said, "You're Rob or Robin." I don't remember what it was, but she was talking about, did he like to play? And again, I'm just paraphrasing. Did he like to play golf or race cars? And he's like, yes. And the guy was bawling his eyes out. And as someone, our mom, right? We're no strangers here, Geno. What was transpiring when I was watching it live, that I know my mother didn't talk to this guy beforehand. And Eric and I certainly weren't with a clipboard before trying to get this guy's information, because we were picking random people out of a crowd. There's something to it. And
there is, and it's a science called cold reading. There's some of this. Now, remember this.
I don't know.
If someone tells you they can foretell the future, that's impossible, because the future hasn't happened yet. That's impossible. But about the past, they can tell you about the past, because the past has happened, and there's plenty of ways to revive it. For instance, I'm going to give you a little stupid theory.
Please.
Let's suppose that I get outside and I yell, "The Dodgers won the game tonight." Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I could go to the moon, and I haven't heard that the Dodgers won yet. But now I'm getting the waves from the earth that says the Dodgers won tonight. So that is really the past. You said it won. I'm getting it, and I'm getting ahead of it. So now it's coming to me for the first time. It's hard to understand what I'm saying, I guess.
I get it. Yeah.
100% right. But sound waves travel at 700 miles an hour.
Right.
800 miles an hour. So speed of light travels 365,000 miles per second. So when you turn a light on, you know it's on boom. But when you hear somebody say something or hear a noise, it takes quite a long time before you hear it. So you're actually, it's the past, but you're bringing the past back up again. It takes that much time to get to you. So if somebody,
Interesting.
so actually, if there was some way that sound could travel through space, which I don't know that it can, physically, under the laws of physics, you could hear everything that was ever said by any person if you got to the right ahead of that frequency and could receive it. That's just my thinking, about
Interesting.
this theory. But I got to tell you, I think about death a lot. We're all going to go there.
Yep.
And
Sure.
my cousin Paul used to say, "Heck with everybody but 6 of them. They're the ones that are going to carry the pine box." I'm sure
On
you
our
heard
grandfather's headstone, it says knocking them dead, all but 6.
That's a good coincidence.
And Paul, I'm sure either my grandfather got that from Paul or Paul got that, but like they were like-minded like that. That yes,
Yeah.
there's gonna be 6 people carrying your body to the ground.
In my family, I'd be very apprehensive to even discuss things like that with my cousin Paul. No, I'm serious. It's like my uncles and aunts, none of them. The only one that was religious was Gary, who passed away.
Right.
Yep.
And when I used to go fishing and hunting with my dad and uncles, I was told you have to go to church on Sunday. That was the way I was raised. They get mad at me because I had to go to church on a Sunday when we're out fishing. But that was in my head. I got a lot of fulfillment. I still get a lot of fulfillment out of it. Makes me feel good.
Right.
It's just something that I was raised, and that's the way I'm raised. And I'm not going to change my opinion just because the crowd says so. But you know what?
You shouldn't. Right.
I mean, you look at this whole thing. I mean, how does it work? How does the Earth go around the sun perfectly? And in every year, a minor inch is going closer and closer and closer. Eventually, it's going to run into the sun. That's going to be the end of the world. Eventually, how long is eventually? 9 trillion years. Who knows?
We have no idea.
The 3 of us won't be here to see it, so it really
But how
doesn't
could
matter.
this naturally just happen by itself? It could not.
Right.
It's designed intelligence.
But it's interesting to me where you draw the line.
Yeah.
You know what I
What's
mean?
that?
Where it's interesting to me where you draw the line in respect to where you believe that there is a higher power, but then you draw the line that we can't connect with the dead. It's interesting to me that that's where
I
you
don't know.
draw it.
I don't know. No, I didn't say that exactly. You may be able to. There may be a way that dead people who are lasting forever, according to my thinking, maybe you can communicate with them. Maybe there's certain people who can communicate with them.
Everybody can. From the many interviews that we've done, and we've done many interviews,
I
everybody has
agree
the
with that.
ability.
I agree with that. When my son died, I'm going to tell you something. It was the hardest thing for me to get over.
Sure.
It's in a little over 10 years now, so it's a little better, but it's still difficult. But let me tell you what happened. The day that he died, I came home and I wanted to be alone. So I put my alarm on my house. I sat in a chair in my living room. I have a low table and I put my feet up on the chair. In the middle of the table is a vase with silk roses, red roses. I just sat there and was thinking about him and I fell asleep. Now my feet could not knock over the vase because it was in the middle and I was too far away from me.
Right.
Okay. And so about an hour, I think I woke up and I looked and without thinking, I see 2 roses crossed at my feet. And I thought I knocked them over. And without thinking, I picked them up and put them back in the vase. I didn't even think about it. I didn't think about it until then. Where's my phone? And I went to the kitchen. There's my phone on the counter. I've got an open house. It's like one great big room. And there's my phone. And next to my phone are 2 more roses crossed. And I have no explanation of it.
That's a mystical experience.
And I wasn't nuts. I wasn't drunk. So those are the kind of things I think our religion tells us that the soul stays with the body for a certain amount of time and then it leaves. And maybe you can communicate. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not knocking what your mother's doing. But the only thing I question about any medium is how they know specific details about the person, like a phone number and a brother That's the part that's a little.
But that's not really what it's real mediumship, in our opinion. That's not really what it's like.
A medium is going to give you evidential things that you can't Google and you can't find online.
So really, of what your mother's doing, I wouldn't categorize it because the medium makes it sound a little carnivalish for me.
Okay,
that's for me. That's for me. But another word, how do you know she's doesn't have the power to communicate with people? And maybe God gave her that power. That is what it is. She's got something that you can't do and I can't do. But classifying her as a medium kind of like says it just takes down what she really can do, the power.
It's got you associate a bad taste with mediumship. Correct. Because there's been so many shysters with it. So maybe medium isn't the right word for what.
Yeah, maybe you should come up with a new word for this.
Right.
I mean,
I'm not kidding you.
Right.
There's a gentleman by the name of George Anderson, and in our opinion, he is like the Cadillac of mediumship, so to speak.
Is he from Chicago?
No, he's Long Island. There's
Scientifically
huge Long Island community of mediums for whatever reason. But when he has to put down, like when he's filling out a bank application, he says that he puts down grief counseling as his occupation, not mediumship.
That's kind of interesting. So I mean, some people, there's no question. I think some people have these certain abilities that their body, just like they're almost like so different that their brain might be more developed if they can actually take and receive things that normal people can't do. As I told you earlier, I think that we can do, they can telegraph information from one brain to another. I believe it's possible.
Geno, these people, we interviewed Suzanne Northrup, George Anderson, world-renowned famous mediums. They were double-blind tested.
Edgar Casey too.
Yeah. Right. These people were double blind tested and they scored it over 90% accuracy.
Well, there you go, and then, if you bring up another subject, remote viewing, I don't know if that's accurate.
Oh, we love that shit. It's crazy.
But even the CIA kind of puts that down, that it does not really, most of them are fake.
The guy that quote unquote taught our mother how to listen to these souls that have passed on was with the government in this remote viewing. There was a guy, McGonigal, something. He's got a book on Amazon. They worked for the government that they were remote viewing documents in foreign countries from DC. So
it's like MK Ultra.
Yeah.
And you know about the CIA, how LSD got to San Francisco, don't you?
No,
it got to San Francisco because they gave it to people to see how they would react. They gave it to people in bars, and then they would watch them. That's a true story about LSD. That's how it got into San Francisco.
So
I love this. This is crazy.
This is awesome. But Michael and I have to wrap up soon because we have another meeting we're going to have to get to. But before we do, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the Dunes Hotel book.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to mention that a little bit.
Yeah, well, this is how it goes. But listen, we'll have a part 2. The Dunes Hotel, the mob, the connections, the stories. What made you write that?
Because I believe if I hadn't have written it, the stories would have never gotten told. Like the gentleman I showed a picture of you to, Vince Tagliatella, which is, I can't bring it up right now, but anyway, this gentleman here told me one day, he said, Geno, he says, I can't be fired from the Dunes Hotel. He pointed to himself, and I didn't get it. He said, yeah, I can't be fired from it. So how could that be possible, right? So he was a guy that had some connections. He also was a bookie, and he also was a Shylock, and he still was a boss in the Dunes Hotel Baccarat. How could that be possible? Well, meaning his guy, he said one day to me, his guy would pay $50,000 just to walk through the lobby because he couldn't show up there because he would be picked up by the FBI. So I wanted to tell the story because no one knows these things. Who's going to remember all these stories that I saw? And I remember so many things, and I wrote them all down, and they just seemed to come to me like, retrieving that file from my head while I still could do it. And the gaming control board, by the way, one day I was looking for a picture of a famous gambler that owned a casino. They couldn't help me, and they're the ones that give the licenses out.
Right.
So that's kind of there's good people that work there. Don't get me wrong, but the idea that their records are protected by Nevada revised statute law makes it impossible to get any information. So I wrote the book because I wanted to tell the story, and I wanted those guys to be remembered. I think they would have liked it, to see that somebody told the true story to the best of their knowledge.
That's incredible. When's the book coming out?
It's January the 12th. They're mailing. They're mailing it.
Will it be available on Amazon?
Yeah, everywhere. It's you can look at trineday.com, TRINEDAY.com, and you can look on it for Amazon and search it. The Dunes by Geno Munari. You'll find it, and they're shipped. They're just making advanced orders. My website is Geno Munari, GenoMunari.com, and I hope everybody reads it. They might get a big bang out of it.
Eric and I read it
when you sent us the PDF. It was really fascinating. I absolutely loved the whole Lester Diamond thing. I got a real kick out of that.
I love the history of what you experienced. I mean, you were in the thick of Vegas's, I don't even want to call it a renaissance. I mean, the renaissance really happened when Steve Wynn opened the Mirage.
It's the golden years.
Did you know Steve Wynn?
Yeah, I knew him. Yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not his household friend, but I know him. I've met him. I've talked to him before.
We call this Jewish geography on Long Island, but we have a friend. His name is Sammy, and his dad was a big time guy back in the day with Lefty and Spilotro and all those guys. Did you know Morris Ehrenberg?
I know Murray Ehrenberg.
So maybe it's Murray then.
Murray's a close friend of mine.
Really? So
he was one of my first bosses at the Dunes Hotel. He worked at the Stardust, and in fact, he's got credit. I gave him credit in the preface. Murray Ehrenberg.
So do you know his son Sammy?
He was married. He had an unfortunate issue. About his one wife that was absolutely unbelievably beautiful, and she became a lesbian. You know that?
Oh no, I actually didn't know that.
I
don't know if we can air this, Eric, but
if it's the same guy. But Murray is a top-notch AAA guy.
Sammy's a client of ours. We worked with him we own a limo, we own a limo service in Las Vegas, and we know the guys that have built the town, right? Like, in order to get into the hotels, you got to know the right guys. And today it's all about procurement, right? It's all about, like, you got to have a upstanding license and insurance and all 9 yards. The days of, like, the golden handshakes, those are gone. Those are way gone. But, like, we met Sammy when we started working at the Aria. We knew Sammy at the Mirage, and we just had the opportunity to start working with the Aria. And Sammy's like, yeah, my dad was De Niro's, it was Don Rickles in the movie Casino. And I'm like, oh my God, that's incredible. But that's so funny that you guys are good friends. I got to tell Sammy that.
There's a guy that had a limousine service by the name of Richie Gordon. Take a look at that in the book. Look in the index and look that up. It's an interesting story about the Stardust and about the mysterious finder's fee that was given to Todd Durlacher. Read that in the book. That's an interesting story. Richie Gordon, who introduced this. Anyway, he's also a driver guy. You got to look that one up.
Interesting.
We will. Before we go, why the Dunes Hotel? Was that just the epicenter of where everybody hung out in those days?
Well, the Dunes was built opened in 1955. The original owner was a mob guy connected from Patriarca from New England, and a couple of other guys that he had as fronts. And then they went through some tough times, and some guys that were associated with the Sands and bookmaking in St. Louis bought the Dunes. They bought the lease to run the operation, and they brought all their friends there. And then they started bringing junkets in. The junkets from all major cities. They could do business with mob guys. The mob guys in the local city of Detroit and in Cleveland and so forth, they're not going to let a junket go to the Dunes unless they're involved in some way. And they knew all the gamblers who played. They knew bookmakers. They knew people who had cash. They knew the restaurant operators. So the Dunes became a hub. They also had a great poker room. Some of the greatest players in the world played there. That's when you could play short cards, which you can't do today. Short cards meaning, other than the game that's assigned to the table, which is like a hold'em.
Right.
You couldn't play gin rummy there if you wanted to, or turnover, or claviage, or whatever. So anything would happen there. You never know what's going to happen. One of the mornings I went was after work. I stopped at the dunes for breakfast. I was like about 18. I saw a pot of $100,000 in a poker pit. So, oh my God, how long has this been going on? I couldn't believe it. And I just was fascinated by it. So the dunes became the place where everybody went. It was the place. The best shows, the best food. Golf course.
You did the world a good deed by documenting it. And like you said, if you didn't do it, no one else would. So I encourage everybody in January, check out the Dunes Hotel, the book on Amazon, search Geno Munari, and you can also check out his website. And it was really great having you on, Geno. Thank you for
thanks again
showing me my love of Magic. I'm already
Geno. We want you on again, man.
I want to hire you, by the way. Hey, by the way, tell your mother hello and please tell her
I won't quit my day job.
If you're interested, mea culpa to your mother.
If you're interested, Geno, we'd love you to have a reading.
I don't know if
she knows too. You guys know too much about me. But how about if I bring somebody with me? She knows nothing about.
Sure.
Fair enough.
I'd like to do that. I really would.
Let's do it.
We would too.
I want to experience that.
So would we.
We'll set it up.
Would you do it recorded? You want to do it on air here?
Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, we're happy to.
It'd be fantastic.
Right, yeah.
But we should do another one about the dunes because we never really got into the dunes.
And listen, we'll have the other person on a blank screen, no name. Let's do a double blind test for
done.
I'd like to do it. Yeah,
I'm in.
That'd be interesting, and I certainly would. I'd like to see that. I really would.
That'd be incredible. Geno, we love you, man.
Love you too.
This was amazing, and we are so happy we know Paul, and we know you through Paul and the Casellas, and
the next time we're in Vegas, which I think will possibly be in the next few months, we'd love to we'll meet up somewhere, go out to dinner.
He's coming up here toward the end of the year here.
Yeah,
Paul's coming up.
Yeah. No, I know they travel there frequently, and we had places there, and then obviously when the old man passed, we didn't want to do it anymore. But Vegas is our town, man. That is our city. We love
the great city. It really is.
I proposed to my wife in front of the Bellagio fountains. We got married at the Bellagio. That's
what the old dunes was, by the way. Right there.
I know, and we found out we were having a boy when we were in Vegas. Just the greatest nights of my life have been with my brother, my wife.
Well, it's nice to see you guys doing this show. I had no idea you were doing the other thing though, what you talked about. No idea about that. I just thought it was an interview show.
About my books and everything.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, no, I'm a writer. I'm a published author. I wrote a book called Monsterland, and the mediums have all said it's going to become a huge movie, a huge success. So whether or not that's true or not, they see some big stuff going on. But I've written, I published, and we'll talk more off air about how we could help you out with
you never know, and there's plenty to share. Something like that could be a really I know this from my little research I've done. The young people today are fascinated by the mob. They're fascinated by old Vegas. So I think there's stories there. And I watch all these Netflix shows that they're producing their own. Those guys are the smartest guys in the world. You know why? I mean, here they were sending DVDs out for years. You send it back and you watch it. Then they decided they have the audience. That's like owning the movie theaters.
100%.
So now they make the movies. They got a built-in audience.
100%.
You can't get any smarter than that.
Yeah.
No, it's a great service.
And Geno, we want you to come on again. We definitely want to discuss the dunes more with you. I mean, we could talk. I want to hear stories and
Sounds
stories.
Good.
And hang on one second. We're going to sign off. Everyone go to genomunari.com. Pick up the Dunes when it comes out in January of 2022. It's going to be available on Amazon.
Like, subscribe, and share this show.
Leave comments.
Leave comments. We appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Geno, hang on one second. Bye, everyone.